Well, it seems that the ladies are really into Sunset Hour from Goldfield and Banks. I've been hearing a lot from the ladies asking me to review this one, and I'm finally getting around to doing it. But I'm not just reviewing Sunset Hour in this video. I'm also going to talk to you about the entire collection of Goldfield and Banks fragrances. 10 of them. There's a 10 total. This is the 10th release here, Sunset Hour, the latest one, and I'm going to let you know all about these fragrances, starting off with Sunset Hour review. Also, after the outro, I'm going to talk to you about a layering duo that's really great, so stick around for that, and just a little tiny bit of the latest, the new fragrance that's coming out from Goldfield and Banks. So if you want to find out about Sunset Hour and the top 10 Goldfield and Banks fragrances, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, today I'm talking about Sunset Hour. You've been asking me to do this one. Mostly messages from the ladies. I think there were 1 or 2 messages from men, but I think the majority of the messages I received, and I received several of them, asking me to, I guess they were not all messages, there were comments too, asking me to review this particular fragrance. So I'm doing that in this particular video, and I'm actually enjoying this particular fragrance. It does lean very feminine, but I also find it to be very playful, fun, young. There's definitely a young energy with this particular fragrance, and I'm going to let you know all about it. Before I let you know all the fragrances though, if this is your first time tuning into my channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So this is Goldfield and Banks' 10th fragrance, Sunset Hour, launched late last year, exclusively in Australia. It made its way here earlier this year, and it's definitely a solid release and also a crowd pleaser. It does seem very mass appealing as well, but also very fun and playful. And, you know, young. There's definitely young energy with this particular fragrance, and I'm going to tell you why I feel that. But this is a 2021 launch. It's created by Perfumer Honorine Blanc. The price is 100 ml for $185. Its concentration is Perfume, according to the company. And I would call this a woody, fruity, or aromatic fruity fragrance. And it's part of the Native collection. Also, if you are in the market for any Goldfield and Banks fragrances, if you go to Lucky Scent, they always have these great 10 ml gift with purchase fragrances as well. So if you buy a fragrance, there's a promo there. You can get a 10 ml of one of the Goldfield and Banks fragrances that they're currently giving away with a full bottle purchase. I think the bottle purchase is any bottle over $125. So for notes here in Sunset Hour, it's Mandarin orange, desert peach or Quandong, raspberry, Jasmine Sambac, ginger, pink pepper, sandalwood, cashmere wood, and benzoin. So this is a very breezy fragrance. That's the word I was looking for. It's very breezy, but it starts off becoming very fruity tart. There's a tartness about the fragrance that I like. It's over the top fruity from that desert peach, and then of course the raspberry, and then of course the citrusy touches from the mandarin. So it has a very sparkling energy up top, invigorating, and it hits you and it kind of like puts you in a happy mood. That's the kind of fragrance this is. It's very happy and playful, and also very energetic. But for me, this particular fragrance is named perfectly. It's called Sunset Hour, right? So this is like kind of on the beachy side, this particular fragrance. I feel like it's a beachy fragrance, but you're not on the beach. You're in the hotel, you can see the water, and you've done your beaching, you've gone, laid out in the sun, gotten your suntan, swam in the water a little bit, and you've come in, gone to your room, showered, and came down clean, and you're ready to start the night, with some cocktails, Sunset Hour, the sun is setting and things like that. And I feel like this has this kind of like a cocktail-y experience because it's very fruity, not necessarily boozy, but just the effervescence in this particular fragrance seems like a very bubbly, kind of a fruity cocktail experience. But as I said, it's sun setting, it's not as warm, it's kind of cooled off, and you've got that kind of breeziness in this, but under there's still some warmth because this particular fragrance has benzoin, so it kind of sweetens up, and it has a kind of a vanillic undertone, so there's that sweetness there, but up top it's very sparkling and fruity and a little tart and very playful. There's some light spices in here and a little zing. Ginger zing, spicy zing, it's in here, and a little bit of a floral touch. But what really I like about this one, is a very, very distant reminder of something Baccarat Rouge-esque, you know? Like the muskiness in here, it sparkles. It's got this kind of snap, crackle, pop kind of an experience with this sparkliness in here, which I quite like. And that's why I keep associating it with like a sparkling cocktail, but more like, you know, some kind of like a sparkling water that's fizzy and just kind of like bubbling over the cup, and you're being hit with those sparkles from that effervescence, because that's exactly what I'm experiencing with this particular fragrance. But yes, it is cooling off. It is a cool cocktail, very fruity, but outside you're feeling that warmth kind of still kind of hitting your face, and kind of that experience of a warm and cool kind of an experience, because it eventually does settle to a little bit of an ambery experience here because of that benzoin note that's in here. So you've got that sweetness. It's trying to come out and become more sweeter. Eventually the top notes and whatever you experience at the top is actually winning out, but yes, it does settle out to become a little bit of an ambery and also musky experience here. So I do enjoy this particular fragrance. It's definitely a crowd pleaser. I think it's got fun and playful and also young written all over it. It has these kind of characteristics. So it's just a very fun time. I think it puts you in a good, happy mood when you put this one on, and just like you're kind of in a vacation mode with this particular fragrance, because it's got vacation written all over it. And as I was saying, that setting of you spent the day at the beach, you came cleaned up, and now you're ready for a night of cocktailing and drinking and enjoying and, you know, relaxing at the bar or something. That's the kind of experience I get with this particular fragrance. It's definitely very, very feminine. It does have reminders of some other fragrances out there. I did mention the Baccarat Rouge. Yes, it kind of reminds me of the sparkliness, the muskiness in here. I felt like there was a little bit of something like ambroxan in here, but I think it could be that cashmere wood note in here that's creating this kind of a note type of an experience, or it could be some of the other notes, because ginger kind of, for me, does have kind of a fizzy experience against some other notes. So it could be some other notes kind of creating this experience along with the cashmere wood. And also I should say it does also remind me a little bit of something like Burberry Her a little bit, but definitely different, but kind of remind me of that kind of a fragrance. So I think if you're into this kind of like appreciation for these kind of musky, fruity fragrances, you definitely going to like this one. It's definitely a crowd pleaser, as I was saying. It's definitely something that's familiar. You have that familiarity with the smell, and then of course you've got that kind of very, very uplifting characteristic with the fragrance. I think it's going to satisfy a lot of ladies that enjoy these kind of fragrances, and I can see why the ladies were reaching out to me asking me to review this one, because it's very, very happy. It's a very, very happy, uplifting fragrance, and we need that these days, because we've had 2.5 years of crazy times. So I think this one just makes people very, very happy and playful, and maybe puts them in a vacation mode kind of a thing. Can a man pull this one off? Yes, they can. They can totally pull it off with confidence. I wore it. I wore plenty of it, as you can see. It does go down a little easy. It's a little light, but I think in the heat this is definitely going to come alive. And also, as I said, stay tuned till after the outro. I'm going to tell you about a layering duo with this particular fragrance that you're going to be really, really happy with. So those are my thoughts on Goldfield & Bank's Australia Sunset Hour. What are your thoughts on this particular fragrance? Let me know. Now moving on to the top 10 list. So we're starting off the list with White Sandalwood at number 10. This is it right here. So this is my least favorite fragrance in the collection. I enjoy sandalwood fragrances, but there's a little bit of a bitterness in here, and it has like a lot of spiciness in this particular fragrance. So I've put it at the bottom of the list, the one I don't reach for the most. But White Sandalwood is a warm, spicy, woody floral fragrance, and it does feature white sandalwood from Australia, along with thyme, amber, rose, pepper, saffron. To me, it's a very, very spicy, woody, warm experience, and a lot of the spices are really, really intense in here against the white sandalwood. So White Sandalwood at number 10. Next at number 9, it's Blue Cypress. Now I enjoy this one a little more. It does have a little bit of a licoricey touch in here, not much, but it's definitely a pleasant fragrance to wear, and it definitely highlights the cypress note in here, along with some soft spiciness and of course some warm spicy touches as well. I would call Blue Cypress a soft, spicy, woody, aromatic fragrance with blue cypress, lavender, patchouli, cloves, star anise. So it's definitely got the spiciness, definitely has the soft spiciness, but it's all very, very green. The cypress kind of comes off very aromatic and green. I shouldn't say over the top green, but it definitely has some greenness here. But also you've got the aromatic herbal touches of the lavender and of course the earthiness of the patchouli. So I enjoy this one a lot more than white sandalwood, and I definitely have a place for this particular fragrance, especially if I need something cypressy for an experience. So Blue Cypress at number 9. Moving on to number 8, it's Velvet Splendor, this one right here. So this one is highlighting Mimosa flower. So Mimosa flower is a yellow flower that blooms in the early spring months, and you can see these trees covered in these yellow, little tiny like cotton, yellow cotton like flowers that are kind of like, you know, not floating but hanging off the tree. So it's definitely focusing on that particular flower, but this has, you know, other notes in it to create some unique twist with the fragrance. But it features notes of mandarin orange, hedione, mimosa flower, orange blossom, jasmine sambac, sandalwood, patchouli, vetiver, leather, tonka bean, a popanax. A lot of stuff happening. If you don't know the mimosa note and how it smells, definitely has a powdery quality, definitely does, and it's also lightly almondy as well. So if you like that kind of a smell, powdery, almondy, I'm not saying this is full-on almond fragrance experience, but there's got that light touches under there. But eventually it has floral touches, a little orange blossom, of course, to give it like a citrus floral experience. And of course there's the leather in the dry down, the woods of the vetiver, and tonka beans, and some resinous touches as well. I really like this one, and I think definitely I went through this list so much to make sure that the list is definitely in the correct order. In fact, I actually made my notes, sat down to shoot, then I went through the fragrances again, and then I went back and changed things around again because I wanted to make sure I'm mentioning the fragrances in the correct order. So Velvet Splendor is number 8. Alright, at number 7, it's the first fragrance I reviewed from this house, probably one of the first reviews ever done for Goldfield and Banks Australia fragrances, Desert Rosewood. My review is still up, probably from 2017 if you guys want to go catch it. But yeah, at number 7, Desert Rosewood. It's the first time I had heard about this house. They had reached out to me to review this fragrance, and I gladly did. And I enjoy this particular fragrance. It's rosewood, unique kind of a smell. It's Australian rosewood in this case, desert rosewood, and they've captured it here perfectly. So it's not necessarily rosy, the flower rose, it's rosewood. But this is a warm, spicy, amber, woody fragrance with desert rosewood, mandarin orange, cardamom, vanilla, benzoin, patchouli. So it's all very, very woody experience, earthy, and also definitely ambery. Like there's definitely ambery touches here along with all the wood. So it's vanilla, benzoin together to create the sweetness, and then some spice added to it as well. So if you like warm, spicy, warm, ambery fragrances with woods, lots of woods, and a unique woody note of desert rosewood, definitely try the fragrance Desert Rosewood from the house of Goldfield and Banks. That's at number 7. So I'm putting Sunset Hour at number 6. I like this fragrance. I enjoy it. It kind of sets a scene, and it takes me on a, you know, tropical kind of a vacation getaway, but I wouldn't call it necessarily like an ultra beachy fragrance experience. As I was saying, it's that cocktail bar at a fancy hotel. You're seeing the sunset outside. It's the beach, but you're inside and enjoying this kind of like a breezy, bubbly, sparkling cocktail experience with fruits kind of a thing. So I do enjoy it. That's why I've put it here at number 6. I discussed this fragrance with you, but I would call it a sweet, musky, woody, fruity fragrance, and it does feature the notes of desert peach, raspberry, jasmine, sambac, ginger, pink pepper, sandalwood, cashmere wood, benzoin. It's a fun fragrance, and it does lean young. There's definitely young energy with this one, and I think the ladies will definitely enjoy it if they like these kind of musky, fruity, breezy kind of fragrances. So Sunset Hour at number 6. Number 5, Pacific Rock Moss. This is probably the fragrance that really got everyone excited about Goldfield and Banks Australia fragrances, and I can see why. This one has this coziness and beachiness about it, so you probably got a hint of what I'm going to talk to you about after the outro. But there's definitely a beachy quality here. You know, it's a different kind of a fragrance, whereas it's not necessarily marine, but it kind of has a marine-esque kind of a quality to it. But for me, I get a beachy quality from it, even though there's no mention of coconuts or anything like that with this particular fragrance. It's a mossy, citrusy, woody aromatic fragrance with coastal moss, lemon, sage, geranium, cedarwood. But when you wear this one, there's definitely that creaminess here, almost like a suntan lotion, coconut oil, or something like that, you know, experience with this fragrance. It is close to the skin, and I like that about it. It's the opposite of Sunset Hour, which has great projection. So if you like the idea of being on the beach, go for Pacific Rock Moss. If you like the idea of that fancy hotel bar, cocktails, and things like that, Sunset Hour. But yeah, Pacific Rock Moss definitely deserves the number 5 spot. Alright, at number 4, going to Wood Infusion. So this is a great woody fragrance experience with oud and also some orangey touches in there to sweeten things up a bit, because oud and woods can go bitter a little bit. I would call this a fresh, spicy, woody aromatic fragrance with exotic woods, sweet orange, iris, agarwood or oud, lavender, patchouli, musk, and amber. So I called it a fresh experience, even though it sells to kind of an amber, but there's not a lot of warmth throughout the fragrance until you get to the base. So the experience to me is fresher rather than warmer kind of thing. So I associate warmth in fragrances with vanilla, resins like benzoin, and of course amber. And there's definitely amber here, but up top and in the heart, you're not experiencing much of an ambery experience. So it's more of a fresh experience to me. But I enjoyed this particular fragrance because it's kind of an alternative to something like Oud Wood from Tom Ford. I would put it in that kind of a category of fragrances that feature oud and woods together, maybe with some spices and aromatics. And in this case, they've thrown in the orange to kind of sweeten things up a little bit. I think it's a great fragrance. It's solid, and it does definitely work. So Wood Infusion at number 4. Moving on to number 3, it's Southern Bloom, and I've discussed this fragrance because it has these coconutty qualities. This definitely does lean feminine too. It seems also a little more mature for a feminine fragrance from this house. But I definitely really like this particular fragrance because I get these woody, powdery, sweet floral fragrance experiences. And it does feature Boronia flower, jasmine, cassis, sandalwood, vetiver, ylang-ylang, coconut, and iris. So the entire experience is great. It does have these kind of creamy qualities. The Boronia flower to me is a very, very unique flower, rarely found in fragrances, and not necessarily does it come up a lot, but it is definitely here, and it does have the sweetness in here, but it's smooth and a beautiful fragrance. I enjoy this one a lot. Southern Bloom from the house of Goldfield and Banks is great. I do also want to say a little bit with that fragrance, there's a little bit like a makeup-y thing happening there as well. Perhaps it's coming from the note of iris in there. Moving on to number 2, it's Bohemian Lime. This is so good. So good. This one also to me acts like a cocktail, but more like a Moscow Mule cocktail. It kind of smells like one. I don't know if you guys ever drink that particular cocktail. So both of these fragrances, Bohemian Lime and also Sunset Hour, has a very cocktail-y experience. They're a bit breezy, but in this case with Bohemian Lime, it definitely smells like a Moscow Mule because of the notes in here. But I would call Bohemian Lime an earthy, aromatic, woody citrus fragrance with Australian finger lime, coriander, Haitian vetiver, cedarwood, sandalwood. So I like that this brand introduces fragrances with notes that I'm not too familiar with. In this case, the Australian finger lime. So when I reviewed this particular fragrance in the height of the pandemic in 2020, I had to look and research and find out and discover what Australian finger lime was. So I'm very curious to try one. It's an odd looking fruit, and I like the idea of this particular fragrance, and I love the way it smells. And as I said, it reminds me a little bit of Moscow Mule, the cocktail. So it's cool, it's crisp, it's fresh, it's citrusy, and then of course also zingy, a little spicy as well. Really great. Bohemian Lime from Goldfield and Banks. So number 1 from Goldfield and Banks for me is Silky Woods. So delicious. So delicious. It's boozy. This is definitely a boozy vanillic experience. It's a vanilla. I love vanilla. Don't you know this already about me? Really do love vanilla and fragrances, and this does not disappoint. It's a satisfactory experience. It's warm and spicy, a little powdery but very vanillic fragrance, and it does feature oud along with cinnamon, tobacco leaves, ylang-ylang, Tahitian vanilla, sandalwood, incense. But in this fragrance you do experience some spiciness and also some butterscotchy caramelly touches, very much so. And also when you dig really deep and smell this, you kind of get like a creamy chocolatey undertone as well. But it's a cozy experience. It's warm and gooey. Just imagine the vanilla dripping and drizzling all over something, and you're seeing it visually, and I'm wearing that, you know, by feeling it on me, kind of a thing. This is so good. So good. I love this one, and it definitely deserves the #1 spot because they did a great job creating this particular fragrance, and I can't get enough of the way this one smells. So Goldfield and Bank's Silky Woods is the #1 fragrance, guys. So that is my ranking today, the top 10 Goldfield and Bank's list, and also my thoughts on Sunset Hour. Have you tried Sunset Hour yet? Those of you that did not, contact me. Let me know, put a comment down. And what do you think about the ranking of this particular list of fragrances? How would you rank this list if you had these 10 fragrances? Let me know, put a comment down. And also let me know, do you have a favorite Goldfield and Bank's fragrance? What is it? I'd like to find that out as well. So other than that, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. As I was mentioning earlier, if you go to Lucky Scent, you are able to get one of these free 10 mLs along with a bottle purchase over there. So check that out as well. I have a link to Lucky Scent in the info box. Other than that, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. So as I mentioned, I do have a layering duo I wanted to talk to you about. It does feature Sunset Hour along with Pacific Rock Moss. These two fragrances are absolutely delicious layered together. It's almost like taking a Ventus and layering it with Virgin Island water from Creed. You're sticking with the same brand, but you're layering the beachy fragrance with, I don't know, cocktaily fragrance. So, you know, in this case, the beachy fragrance is a Ventus, and then the Sunset Hour is the Virgin Island water. But that's maybe not going to explain to you perfectly. But I like the combination a lot because, as I was saying, Sunset Hour does have this idea of a beach setting, but not necessarily on the beach. But when you layer it with the fragrance that smells like the beach, you actually get a lot of that. And there's a little bit of a creaminess in Sunset Hour under there from that benzoin note. So you're amplifying the creaminess from the Pacific Rock Moss in Sunset Hour, so you're kind of giving like a tropical beachy experience with all the fruits and the sparkly muskiness that is present in Sunset Hour, and the combination is really delicious. I just tried it on once again and I really love it. So as I was saying also earlier, there's definitely closer to the skin experience with Pacific Rock Moss, but this Sunset Hour is a wider reaching fragrance. It screams louder. It definitely has more projection. So the two together balance each other out, and it makes for a really delicious wearing experience. Try it if you have both of these fragrances. I think you won't be disappointed. The two together are top notch, and I think if you like layering fragrances, you definitely should try this to give you that really tropical, beachy, kind of a fruity, you know, wearing experience. I think it's really great. Definitely an accidental discovery, although when I was wearing Sunset Hour and I thought about Pacific Rock Moss, I said, dude, those two fragrances are going to layer really well together. Really are. And then I tried it and I was like, yes, they work wonderfully together. So I hope you guys get to try that. I'm going to mention one more thing. I have also sampled the new fragrance that Goldfield and Bank's is launching. It does not disappoint. Really great. That's the clue I'm giving. Whereas Sunset Hour leaned very feminine. The new fragrance, which I don't really know much about yet, does lean very masculine. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully I'll be able to review it very soon. Other than that, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. And as I said, thank you for sticking around for the bonus layering duo as I was mentioning. Have a good one and see you tomorrow for another video. Bye-bye.